Another day, another barrage of attacks escalate tensions in the Red Sea. Israel's ongoing military operations in Gaza continue to witness a pushback by Yemen's Houthis on the maritime front. And this time, the onslaught went on for 10 long hours. The latest Red Sea standoff, US says that its fleet in the West Asian region shot down 12 attack drones and 5 missiles launched by the Houthi rebels. The American Central Command says the strikes did not cause any injuries or damage to the ships in the area. But the 10-hour-long assault by the Houthis once again shows how potent the threat is. The Iran-backed group also amped up its attacks on other fronts, targeting Israel's port city of Eilat. Listen to what representatives of both sides had to say.
كما نفذ سلاح الجو المسير.
The Air Force in the Yemeni Armed Forces carried out a military operation with a number of drones against military posts in the al-Rashrash and other areas in occupied Palestine.
An IDF fighter jet successfully intercepted today a hostile aerial target over the Red Sea on its way to Israel. The target did not cross into Israel. The Houthis firing towards Israel is an act of terrorism. It is an act executed with Iranian guidance, with Iranian intelligence and munitions.
The Houthi attacks do not end here. On Tuesday, they also targeted another commercial vessel, the MSC United, as it passed through the key trade passage. Rebel leaders say that the ship crew did not respond to multiple warning calls. For weeks now, Yemen's Houthi rebels have launched attacks after attacks on what it says are Israeli-affiliated vessels that are accused of carrying fuel and military equipment for Israel. Yemen's proximity and stronghold over the key Bab al-Mandab Strait in the Red Sea has made it difficult for ships and tankers to pass through safely. The attacks have disrupted global trade flows, with shipping firms and oil companies saying they would avoid the route. Even after US announced a multinational naval task force, the Houthis have only ramped up their attacks in the region. US says that in the past month alone, the rebel group has launched over 100 attacks and 14 commercial vessels have already been targeted so far. For the Houthis, there is one non-negotiable ask. The attacks in the Red Sea will halt when Israel's military aggression in Gaza comes to an end. But as each day passes, the threat of a greater war spillover continues to loom over the crucial Red Sea corridor. Dr. Gilbert Doctorow is an international affairs analyst, an author, and also a historian. He's now joining us live from Brussels. Dr. Gilbert, thank you for making time for us and welcome.
Yes, thank you for inviting me. I regret that I am unable to spend more than a couple of minutes with you.
Okay, I will make it short. Doctor, do you think the US-led Red Sea force has calmed shippers amid Houthi attacks?
No, it hasn't, and there's good reason why it hasn't. The shippers don't look at what the U.S. military is doing. They look at what their insurers are doing. The area is in a state of war, and in a state of war, shipping insurance becomes extremely expensive, prohibitively expensive. Therefore, this effort by the United States is just grandstanding, just like the display of the aircraft carriers is grandstanding, but has very little practical effect. If things get bad, the aircraft carriers can be sunk. If things get bad, a lot of the U.S. presence will be pointless. Therefore, the situation is quite serious, quite aggravated in the Red Sea. And with that, I will close out my statement.
All right, Doctor, allow me to ask you this question. Critics argue that in the Red Sea, the U.S. has no good options against the Houthis. The U.S.-led maritime forces a half measure that the Houthis will test, but it cannot do more without escalating tensions. What do you make of that statement?
I think it's entirely correct. The United States has made a great presence. Mr. Austin looked very good on television. But the reality is, behind the scenes, there is very little support among the allies, even the French, who were offered, Mr. Macron was offered to take charge of this allied mission, and he declined. This is very hot stuff. countries which have large Muslim minorities, like France, are very hesitant to give full-throated backing to what the United States is doing. So it is a serious challenge for the United States, which I don't believe they will meet.
Dr. Gilbert Doctorow, thank you very much for talking to WION World is One today.
My pleasure.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.